typing away furiously. Somehow the computers around him were empty despite the demand. He stood out starkly, a scrawny 16-year-old white boy in Chinatown. Of course, James didn't blend in any better with his black skin. He walked over quietly and read over Chace's shoulder for a second. "You're Angel, huh?" He clapped Chace on the back. "Boy, have you seriously had me waiting here for the past hour while you wrote a love letter?" Chace glanced up at him, a faraway look in his eyes, like he wasn't actually seeing James. "What?" He shook his head, his eyes coming into focus. "It's private, man. Do you mind?" Sorry. James stepped back with his hands up. The calming gesture was ruined by his mischievous grin. "Who's the lucky girl? I should go warn her." Chace glared at him for a moment, but James's grin was too infectious to hold out against for long, and soon Chace let slip a smile of his own. "It's just a thank you letter to Sarah." James frowned. "Should I know who that is?" "Right, sorry. She comes by the home, plays with the kids. Normally she visits a lot, but she was really upset last time and hasn't been by since. I just thought I'd try to cheer her up." "Oh, so that's why you always watch the little kids? Trying to look good for the girl, I get it." Chace snorted. "She's a friend. I've known her for years." James put on a wolfish grin. "Not denying it, though, are you?" Chace gave him the "I am not amused" stare. "Look, if you're this bored, just go back without me, or do you need me to hold your hand while you walk home?" James sat at the computer next to Chace and clasped his hands together over his heart. "Oh, would you?" Chace scoffed, exasperated, and turned back to his computer. "Suit yourself. Either way, I'm going to be a while yet." His boredom satisfied, for now, James logged onto the computer next to Chace's. He'd only recently been transferred to St. Mara's Home for Children from his last foster family, but he could find his way home if he really wanted to. He was only killing time while he waited. It had nothing to do with being new to town and completely lost. After only a few minutes, though, the boredom returned with a vengeance. James glanced across at Chace and saw that his nose had begun to bleed. "Dude, your nose!" Chace dabbed at the blood and looked at his fingers, then got up with a muffled "crap" and rushed to the bathroom, pinching his nose. When he came back, a wad of toilet paper to his nose, he shrugged and said, "Well, I guess I'm done. The library closes soon anyway." James must have looked concerned because Chace added, "It's no big deal. I get these all the time." Chace sat back down at the computer and typed a few lines before printing and logging off. Then he put on his gloves and went to retrieve the letter. James signed off his own computer and followed Chace to the printer. As he approached, he saw Chace scribble something at the bottom and fold it up before putting it in his jacket. Outside it was already dark, and James's breath misted in front of his face. It had snowed a few days before, but all that was left of the fluffy white powder was piles of ugly gray slush along the sides of the roads. He shivered from the sudden cold and hurriedly raised his hood and stuffed his hands into his jacket pockets as he followed Chace down the street. They walked down East Broadway toward Chatham Square. James could only trust that Chace knew where he was going. They were in Chinatown, and every sign was in what he assumed was Chinese. He couldn't read a thing. "Hey, why'd we go to that library? There had to be one closer to the home than that, right?" James asked as they reached Chatham Square and turned down St. James. Chace made a face like he had a headache and dodged a small group of people walking the other way before answering. "It's the closest one to the Brooklyn Bridge. Never been there, so I thought I'd take a look while I was out today." "Wait, you've lived in Manhattan all these years, and you've never seen the bridge?" Not that James had ever seen it either, but at least he had the excuse that he'd only just moved back. Chace shrugged. "I don't like all the crowds, but this time of night in the cold, should be pretty empty." He was right. When they reached the walkway, there was only a small handful of people around, though the motor traffic was as busy as ever.